Class, Mrs. Calvi here. Quick tutorial on finding the area of composite figures. So this is going to be 8.5 in your textbook. And a composite figure is basically a shape that we do not have a formula for in order to find the area. So we can't say that this is a triangle, a rectangle, a square, or a circle. So what we do is when we have a composite figure, we break the figure up into parts where we know we have a formula for area. So for this example here, if you notice, what they did was they put a line here and they cut this into two different rectangles. So they made this one rectangle and then they made this piece another rectangle. And that's what they're showing right below here. Okay, so again, a composite figure is a figure that we don't have a formula for area. We are going to break up the figure into shapes that we know the formula for area. So I replicated this figure over here. So you notice that they, as I said, divided this figure here and they made two separate rectangles. So now all we need to do is we need to find the area of this rectangle here. So we're going to find the area of this one first. Then we will find the area of this rectangle. And then we're going to add the two areas together in order to get the area of the entire figure. So let's start out by writing our formula for area of a rectangle. And we know that that is area is equal to length times width. So we're going to have this formula written twice because it just so happens they are both rectangles. So I'm going to work with the rectangle on the left side first. So this is a 1.5 centimeter by 1.8 centimeter rectangle. So my length is 1.5 and my width is 1.8. So this is the part you're going to be showing for your work, and then for the actual calculation, I keep telling you, you can use your calculator for this portion. So you would do 1 times 5, 1.5 times 1.8 in your calculator to get you 2.7, and remember, area is always squared, so squared centimeters. All right, so we're going to now do the same thing for the smaller rectangle. So our length is 2 centimeters, our width is 0.5 centimeters. So if we go in and fill in our formula, our length is 2, our width is 0.5, and if you were to actually do that calculation, you would get 1 square centimeter. So now all we're going to do is we are going to add these two areas together. So 2.7 plus 1 is going to give us 3.7 square centimeters for this entire figure as a whole. All right, so all we did was break up a figure into two shapes that we know the formula for. All right, so that was actually example 1A in your textbook on page 361. I'm going to go over example 1B. Okay, so looking at example 1B, we need to find the area of this figure. So again, this is not a shape that we have a formula for area. So if you notice what they did, they put a line right here and divided this figure into a rectangle and a triangle. We know the formula for the area of a rectangle and we know the formula for area of a triangle, so it makes it easier to find the area of this figure once we do these two separately. All right, so let's go back to what I drew. Okay, so what they did was they cut this right here. So we have our two formulas, formula for the area of a rectangle, that's going to be for this piece, and then our formula for area of a triangle, which is going to be the triangle at the top. Okay, so let's go back, let's do the rectangle first. So the length of just the rectangle is 10 centimeters and the width is 8. So that's a 10 by 8 rectangle. And that would give us 80 square centimeters. Again, this is area, so we always square it. All right, so now for our triangle. Typically, you're going to see in the book, you're going to see the formula 1/2 the base times the height. I also told you can use this. You take your base, you multiply it by your height, and then you divide that by 2. So I'm going to look at the base. This is the base of my triangle. Well, if this side is 8 centimeters, that means this side here is going to be 8 centimeters. So the base of my triangle is going to be 8. So let's do that part first. So 8. Now the height of my triangle, this is actually going to be the height of my triangle. Okay, this is the height, this small piece here. If you were to lay this around, if you were to rotate this and put this be on the bottom, this would be the height of my triangle to the tallest point. Well, they're telling us that this red dotted line is 13 centimeters. Well, if this piece is 10 centimeters and this entire piece here is 13 centimeters, that's telling us that this little piece here is 3 centimeters. So then our height, we are multiplying it by 3. And then we will divide by 2. So 8 times 3 is 24. Divide that by 2, we would get 12 square centimeters. All right, so we have 80 square centimeters for the rectangle piece, 12 square centimeters for the triangle piece. Now our last step is to just add those two together to get our area of the entire figure. So our area is going to be equal to 80 plus 12, which is equal to 92 square centimeters. Okay, all right, and there is one other example that I do want to go over. We are going to go over on page 362, example 2, and I'm going to show you how they did this one as well. Okay, so this example is a little bit different because what they did was they graphed it on a coordinate plane. So if you notice, they didn't label what the length or the width of any of the pieces are. So this was the original figure, and they just divided it into 3 separate rectangles. So rectangle 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 3. So area of a rectangle, very simple, length times width. So my length of rectangle 1, it's very tricky because it's 2 squares, but if you notice, these are being counted by 2's, right? So 2, 4. So we'll say 4 square units for our length. Then our width, these are also going by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8 square units. So you cannot just look at the number on the graph and say, oh, it's 10 square units. It's already starting at the 2 line. So these are counting by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8. So my length was 2, 4. My length was 4. My width was 8. So if I go back here, my length was 4. My width was 8. So this is for my first rectangle. So 4 times 8, 32. And I don't think they gave us a unit, so I'm just going to put square units. All right. So now for our second rectangle, let's go back to what they showed us. So counting by 2's. From 6 to 8, that's 2. So we have a length of 2. And now what's our width? 2, 4, 6. So this is a 2 by 6 rectangle. So 2 by 6, that's going to give us 12 square units. And then our last one, I'll actually erase my figure over here. Our last rectangle, going back to the figure, these are by 2's. The length is 2, 4, 6. The height is 2, 4. So that's a 6 by 4 rectangle. So 6 by 4, 6 times 4 is 24 square units. Now, to find the area of the entire figure, you know we're going to now add all three of these together. So my area is equal to 24 plus 32 plus 12, and that would give us 68 square units for our final answer. All right, until I talk to you next time.